Give him, hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him, hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, hey. Give him the highest praise.
Hey, come let's pray, Jehovah. Come let's worship Jehovah. You deserve the praise. Come let's praise Him. You deserve everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, He gave me life. I will praise His name. I'm here to praise my God. Oh, because He gave me life. Come celebrate, come jubilate, come now.
What, folks in Radio Land, good morning, good afternoon to wherever you are. I want to thank you for joining us here this afternoon. This 2:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I am Alfonso Z, and so welcome you to this afternoon talking point. Indeed, we have to celebrate and cheer in the beauty of God.
Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah. Give him the highest praise. Ooh, hallelujah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Oh, that's the beauty of Liberia. Welcoming some of the pioneers in the musical or gospel industries of Liberia, Minister Bass and K Praise. Hallelujah. What we want to welcome you, Alfonso Z, and so as usual, right here from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Thank you for all of your support you've been giving us, your participation, and by just tuning in, I validate what we are doing. And again, we say we're always open to a suggestion as to how we can enhance qualitative broadcasting. In this business. The success of Liberia, by largely, is contingent upon all of us by our own commitment and what we bring to the table. Our talking point is no exception. Well, let me be gracious. I reached out within this morning. I placed a call and even did a little tweet on his post. One of the legendaries in the broadcast industry of Liberia, Ash Fagali, is celebrating his birthday here today. Is important that he found his tone. I want to say it, Galit, good morning, good afternoon, and happy birthday. It is good that we acknowledge that. Well, let's have a talking point. My guest is standing by backstage. I will be breaking in very shortly. But for the most part, we always here to give stage, to give sort of promotion to some of the good things that is happening out of Liberia. And one of the funniest gospel artists, there's a big release. We got it this morning. Fight my battle. All of us, we are fighting a battle. The battle is in different perspective. Whatever one, good governance battle, dishonest battle, to be respectful one another. So there are multiples of battles that has been fought. So this song here by Minister Jemima Walker is a Liberian gospel artist, is based in Liberia. Managed to send us this video this morning, and courtesy, let us just showcase some of the good things that is also happening in Liberia. Let me see here. Let's see. We can have this here. Okay. Just bear with me a little bit, and the video will be coming on very shortly. All right, that's Minister Walker.
Peace.
It's T-Will on the beat.
Yahweh. Hey, Yahweh. Hey, Yahweh. Yeah, Yahweh. Yahweh, come for my rescue. Yahweh, fight my battle. Jesus, fight my battle. Yahweh, fight my battle. Fight us to fight against me. Yahweh, fight my battle. Jesus, fight my battle. Yahweh, fight my battle. Fight us to fight against me. Yahweh, fight my battle. Jesus, fight my battle. Yahweh, fight my battle. Fight us to fight against me. Yahweh, fight my battle. This battle is so heavy for me, no. I cannot fight it alone, no. You promise to fight it for me, no. Yeah, fight my battle, Jehovah, fight my battle, man. Clipper, fight my battle, Fight it and make me the winner. What kind of life when you live in? When I pray for trouble, can I get it? What kind of life I live in today? When I hear someone they don't recognize me. What sort of life I can live in? My friends are children, but I don't have one. What kind of life I live in today? When I read my application, they don't accept it. Papa, fight my battle. Fight the depression battle, man. Jehovah, fight my battle. Fight the suppression battle.
Jesus, fight my battle. Lion of the tribe of Julia. Miracle working God. Fight this battle for me, Lord. Great that I am. Mighty warrior. Come to my rescue, Lord. Fight this battle for me, Lord. Oh, fight this battle, Lord. Oh, fight this battle, Lord. Oh, fight this battle, Lord. Fight this battle for me, Lord.
I am qualified, they say I'm not. I am capable, but they say I'm not. Those are working today, we all graduated together. Jehovah, what is wrong with me? I used to do their own way and send me for them. They used to look my paper before they pass. These people are way younger than me today. I have become a back to them. Fight those who fighting against me. Those who fighting my future. Those are taking money from Merasime to Merasime. Jehovah fight them for me. Fight those who fighting my career. Those who fighting my marriage. Fight those Jehovah fight them for me. Conga he, Oslam in a yes.
break them to pieces, burn them down to ashes. I know what you can do.
Okay, that's a beautiful piece. It's on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can click like. That's the only way they get their own recognition. So let's get the program to rolling here. It's 2:10 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Alfonso Zay and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio. Okay, let me jump. Was senior analyst. It's a guy who's believes strongly in giving back to the community in different forms and contexts, and one happens to be what we do right here on the Liberia Public Radio. Standing by is Professor Ase Said Labot Zawlo, is a senior contributor of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRTV. Professor, happy belated Christmas, prosper New Year's, and how are you today?
I'm doing great. Many happy returns to you. Yeah, let's look forward to a very happy new year.
Okay. Very shortly, I believe Pat George, I'm not sure the Liberal Progressive, he's still snoring this morning. He will join us. Let me start off. Yesterday, I know you got caught up with time, and so you wasn't here. But let me start off to say, we want to say a big thank you. Usually contributors and analysts on this keyboard wire, they pay them, but we don't give you dime. Instead, you contribute to the network. So it's on the flip side of the history, but that's just a clear indication of the kind of person you are and things that you're even doing physically on the ground. And that's another aspect of contributing to the overall growth of our country. Let me acknowledge that. We want to say thank you so much for it. It's not easy. People taking 1 hour, 2 hours to come to analyze, and people throw all of the kitchen sink at you, but it's understandable. But I want to say thank you so much.
Well, you know, our people need the information. So if we have information that is vital, we can come and share it. So, you know, we try to find the time always to do it. You know, I just think it's an obligation on my part to do that.
Okay, and I would say happy belated birthday to the madam as well, who also gave you give us the permission to take most of our time to tap into her time and to get you to doing what you're doing. How the family doing?
The family is doing great. Thanks. How's your family doing?
Oh, great. Awesome. This morning I have something. You see me look all like this, talking like this, something that the energy is already in the system here. Okay, but that will not negate us to talk those hardcore issues. We should know that for us to talk here on this network, because a lot is at stake. What did you do for Christmas?
Well, not much. I'm not a holiday person, so we stayed home. You know, we just have my wife, my son, who's an adult, you know, 21 years old, and then my brother-in-law who lives with us. So we just stay as a family. We ate together, and then, you know, we just share fun and talk with our relatives back home, and, you know, did a lot of. This year we did not do Christmas shopping, so we had to work with Cash App and Zelle and Venmo, and so just did a lot of, you know, sending out treats out there to family members and other people. That's what we did. That's what most of the things we did.
Yeah, I think the most important thing we sustain life. There are others who really wanted to see this day. There are others still fighting for their lives in hospitals, and people got to feed in and all of that. And for you to get strength to sit up, man, I think then you get all of what you need for Christmas. We must acknowledge that.
Exactly. You know, we got to be thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Today is the 26th, correct?
27th, right?
27. I'm taking a year back. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. 27. From 27 to 27, that's a very huge gap in terms of what is unfolding before us and out of us. Basically, the political system or process in Liberia. So let's try to take some review here and see where we are, how far we are going, and what is the progress made so far. You support this government, the ruling government of the CDC coalition. What can you count on?
No, I think the new year is going to be better. I think, you know,
let's digress a little bit before going into New Year. Let's try to recap some memorable things and things that we can learn from before even going to New Year. How's that?
I think one of the last, we ended the year on a very high note. Liberians gathered and voted, and it was for the most free of any kind of violence or any kind of mild electoral practice. There have been allegations, and those allegations have been, investigated, and I know at the end of the day they will be adjudicated. But the fact that we could gather and vote, void of what is usually accompanying in elections in Africa, is a big plus for our country. The second thing I want to talk about that came up almost at the end of the year was the performance of Liberian students on the WAS exam. As an educator, those are very important metrics for me. Liberian students performed the best.
You seem to be selective of your talking point. I will not want to dwell on some of these little bit hinge or challenges in the
We're talking
government.
about the challenges.
Say it again.
I said we're talking about the challenges. We're talking about the challenges. You see, as an educator, one of the things we always tell us, they tell us, look, when you are engaging a parent or a family or a student, you want to look at the positives first. And then after you talk about the positive, then you come in with some of the challenges, which I don't call negatives. I would say challenges and opportunities. So, we ended the year on a high note. Liberian students performed. My hats goes off to them. I've already congratulated several principals in Liberia for the wonderful job they did, amidst, the dwindling resources when it comes to education. They did a wonderful job to get our students prepared and to pass. For so long in the history of Liberia, we always pass with the narrative that the WAEC, and used to be called the GC, was just too hard and impossible for our students to do and pass. Now our students are dismissing that kind of notion. So they are taking it. Then I also want to talk about the efforts at improving rules, conditions in Liberia, connecting more farms to markets and improving the roads. I think the road from Senekole to Yekepa, the road from Senekole to Tapleta, I think all those things are in process. The road to Fishtown to, all those basic roads are being constructed. And there have been a lot of neighborhood roads that have been constructed in Liberia over these years. And finally, the Rawasview Highway construction, as I think the contract has been signed, the process are already initiated.
Implementation is yes to being seen like concretely. So why should we come pick that is in the bag? Why should we unveil something that we have not even seen being put into action?
Nobody has already started it. So
is that important?
The Liberal Progressive was here, being the person who into the road construction. He would tell you that road construction process sometimes it lasts about 10 years. So you got a pre-engineering process, then you got an engineering process, then you have to have a construction process, all those things taking place. So at least right now we are in the construction phase, and so I think that's progress. We've already negotiated with the land, the people who own the land on both sides of the highway, and the design has already been made, and the process has started. So I don't think we should be behind. And there were numerous repairs done to schools across the country. Town community centers were built. There were remarkable achievement in the country. Now let me talk about some of the challenges. Some of the challenges we have is that, look, our people want development. That's the reality. They want development, but they also want to live their lives. They want to be able to pay tuition for their children when school opens. They want to be able to buy food for their kids. They want when Christmas time, they can be able to go to Waterside or different shopping centers and buy things and bring it for their children home. We as a country have to do better in creating more jobs for our citizens. There are too many unemployed Liberians. And as long as we have too many unemployed Liberians, the onus is on the government to find a solution. And that's something this government and any future government will have to work on. We got to find a way to hire more, to get more people hired in the country. We also got to find a way wherein the government system for paying us salaries is streamlined to the extent that salaries are paid on time, and so that people can know exactly when they expect to get their pay.
Your talking point, Professor, this morning seems like you now want to hold your government accountable or responsible of some of these little challenges, as you coin it to be, not the failure. Why?
I'm not going to hold this government responsible for that, because some of these things, you see, people always tell me that, oh, you guys say you're going to come and do these things and do that, and so it's on you guys to do that. Nobody's trying to derelict. This government understands that the responsibility of improving the livelihood of Liberian people rests on it. But that cannot be accomplished in the absence of acknowledging those challenges that we met and that we continue to confront. Our system, I always said it, our economic system
They were,
flawed
they were
foundation.
known to you guys, or why? You didn't see that coming as a challenge?
We
Potentially?
knew those things. We knew those things, but we didn't know some of those things. We didn't know the extent of it, and we didn't have a full understanding of how long it would have taken to right some of those errors. Look, you talk about our economy. Our economy has been pillared on the exports of rubber, iron ore, to some extent cocoa and coffee. Those commodities have experienced volatility when it comes to the prices on the world market. We don't control it. And so that's a system that has been perpetuated by previous governments. So our government come in, we got to find a way to shift from those things. We'll continue to export iron ore, rubber, and other mineral resources, but we got to start to think about new ways to sustain our economy. So one of the things this government is doing and is thinking and working on is agriculture and light industry, light manufacturing, light industry when it comes to the agri industry. How can we, for example,
You are getting the talking point here, quite correct, Professor, in place, but there are those who are there to implement, to enforce, and bring it to light. Is that happening?
yeah, it's happening. It's gradual. So if you want to involve yourself in light manufacturing in the agri industry, you first of all have to build the agri complexes. That's the first thing. Then you got to train the people to be able to work there and do the things that you want to do. Then you also got to get the farmers involved. There will be loans released to farmers. There are a lot of programs in place to assist and support Liberian farmers to be able to join hands in this ambitious plan of shifting some of the stress on our economy, especially when it comes to the export of those products that we don't control the price. So there are efforts being made. It requires time. And so those things have been put in place. I just talked to an insider who was just sharing some information with me about some of the things that they have been doing. So things are happening behind the scene, and gradually you're going to be seeing.
Do you want to hold us responsible in the media industry of not talking some of those things that you are outlining here, or are we being selective of some of the things that are happening?
I would say you. Some people in the media are interested. Some media personalities are only interested in negative narratives of Liberia. But that's how they survive. They survive on this idea of intimidation and harassment of governments and people in government. It's not just unique to the CDC government. They've been doing it for time immemorial. So you intimidate government officials, you harass government officials, and they give you cadeau so you can keep quiet so that you don't talk about the alleged information you want to release. If I was in government today, those kind of people would be shocked because I will pay them to release the incriminating and damaging information.
When you say pay, in what context?
I'll give them money. When they come to me with those threats and intimidation, harassment, but give us money, you don't give us money, we're going to release this information, I will actually tell them, look, I'm going to pay you to release whatever information you have. So we can put those things to rest. That's a sad thing with Liberian press. It's not
I'm gathering something here. It seems that your government is not doing well in terms of the public relation. Helen Johnson said he had a group over $360,000 media guru that were really pushing her agenda, doing the real propaganda way. Yeah. And it seems not to be happening within the CDC.
We need to do propaganda. I think we are doing the people's job, and the job will speak for itself. I think it's a matter of time. I don't think we should be in the business of propaganda. I think we should be in the business of propagation of our ideas, our programs, our policies, and our plans. Propaganda, it looks like, you're tricking people into believing.
Let me retweet the word. Perhaps those who interpret the message of the government, are they doing enough?
Well, they're trying. We need to step up our game when it comes to the messaging. We need to bring in some new blood.
What are you going to call people out when you say trying? To what extent? Trying of why? Is it bearing out?
Yeah, nobody's going to perform beyond their abilities. So the people who are performing right now are performing to the best of their abilities. So that behooves us to begin to think, go back to the drawing board, to bring in some fresh blood, bring in some fresh ideas, bring in some individuals who we believe and know will be able to deliver and add to the messaging. And I think that's what the government needs to do. And I'm very positive, and I know for sure That's what the government is thinking about doing. How we can incorporate more people who can provide the kind of information that the public needs. And so those are the things that's happening. Yeah. But the people who are there, they are doing their best. I mean, they can't do beyond their ability. They are trying.
Okay, let me see here. There's a question here. As also quiz you here. Other people try to quiz me, and that's the beauty of this network here. Let me see here. This is a Facebook user. Identity is unknown. Where are you coming from, Zagabai? I don't know, but I want to go into the question. He said, I need an answer, sir. By the way, the government cannot do everything for you. The government is working towards agricultural and industrial system. Mr. Zian, your platform need to sub-beach in Liberia to see the work of the government.
I don't know what he's talking about.
No, I think the question is being directed at me. Let me see the genesis of this question here. Mr. Zian, so I need the answer to my question. Who owns Liberia? And who Mr. Yuri wants to take Liberia back from? I wish I was a spokesperson for Ben. I believe he's referring to Ben and Yuri. Politicians make some of these sort of ambiguous statement with a lot of unclear context, unless you.
But I think Mr. Freeman's statement is very clear. Mr. Freeman is on point. See, people like Ben and Yuri are some of the most divisive elements we have in society. They operate on the mindset of us against them. So the people he's talking about taking Liberia back from are taking the Liberia back from the native people, from the indigenous.
It's like it's playing like a Trump playbook. We got a guy one country back.
Yeah, that's him. He's no different from Make America Great Again. And the problem is that Liberia cannot be taken back from the owners. Liberia will never be taken back from the owners. Liberia will mean the property of the indigenous people of that country. If anybody, and I'm sorry to be very straightforward and bold, if anybody that Liberia will be taken from will be the people who do not actually know whether they actually came from Liberia or not. And there are some of them who have enjoyed the benefits of Liberia who have no clear evidence that their ancestors actually came from Liberia. And if there's anybody going to take Liberia back, we're going to take it back from those people. But let's not dwell on that, because I think most Liberians are above that. That's not the kind of discussion we want to be having right now. The discussion we want to be having right now is how can we together, the settlers, the indigenous people, how can we together, void of all these separate nomenclatures, work to build a better country. And so Bernard Yuri is offside of the mainstream. He's thinking in the old. And it's clear that it's good that he's making his assertions now so that people, when it comes 2023, they will know it. He is not going to be president of Liberia.
How? Why?
He doesn't have the moral turpitude to be a president of a country like Liberia. Bernard Yuri is Liberia problem. These were people who his entire wealth he has, he got it on the backs of the Liberian people. And one of the things I find very challenging, you say I don't criticize my government. One of the things I find very challenging is why our government has not been able to investigate individuals like Bernard Yuri and how he got his wealth.
You should answer that question.
That's what I'm saying. I'm frustrated with that. And not just Bernard Yuri.
Not just on the frustration, Professor. Have you voiced it out within the inner cycles of the ruling establishment? You've been a strong supporter. And from time to time, and I respect what you do because you are one of those who stood not just on the LPR, but major international cable wire of the pro-poor agenda. Are they listening to you?
Well, that'd be very fair. You know, one of the things I have done over the last 3 years is that I have tailored my suggestion, criticism, and all of those things. I don't think I've spoken a lot about issues like, when it comes to bringing charges against certain individuals, when it comes to the economic crimes they committed in Liberia. I haven't spoken much about that. So it would be a lie to tell you that I've suggested that to people. What has happened is that over the last maybe the last year or so, I've been seeing some people who were deeply involved in the exploitation of our people being so brazen enough to come and challenge other people who are in government and accuse them of corruption. It's an oxymoron.
You see that being disingenuous.
Yeah, it's an oxymoron for Ben and Ayure to be talking about corruption. You know, it just doesn't hold. Ben and Ayure was a poor boy in Carisburg. You know, I don't want to be using terminology.
Unfortunately, people within the Beltway, that is within the government, they are unable to point out these things here. So are they not falling to below the belt?
Well, I don't, like I said, you know, one of the things is that our political leader is a person of immense belief in peace and reconciliation. You know, President Weah had the chance to get embroiled in the war if he wanted to. He would have received international support to have, you know, develop, you know, get involved at some level. He refused because he believed that the solution to Liberia problem would not have come through the barrel of the gun, but it would have come through the people expressing their choice, expressing their belief, their will in a plebiscite. And so that's why he did not participate. Now, when it comes to, you will recall that when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf appointed him as peace ambassador, he accepted. His acceptance was based on the fact that he understands that for Liberia to move forward, we need to reconcile, we need to have peace. So there has to be some forgiveness on every end. And so I admire him for that. His intention was, no, look at his government. He created a government of inclusion, which today some people may claim that is working against him because you have people in the government who are not beholden to him. But
do you have a different view on that?
I don't have a different view that he has a lot of people in his government who are not beholden to him. What I differ with some of my seditians is that I do not think supplanting all those people from government, replacing them with sedition en masse will be the solution to the problem. I think we should take a different approach. We should look for and identify where we've gone wrong, analyze possible solutions to those problems.
Where did you get those people from?
No, but that's what I'm saying. First of all, hold on, we should analyze where we went wrong, identify proposed solutions to those problems, and then we'll begin to look. The same will the president had to create a government of inclusion. Then we'll begin to look inside and outside the party for individuals.
Can you be a little bit specific? Outside within the opposition column, for example?
Opposition, anyway, for individuals who have the wherewithal, who have the skill, the experience to be able to help to solve those problems. Look, at the end of the day, what is most important is that the poor farmer in Kawiaken has ceased to grow his product. And he has the road to be able to drive on to take his product. And he has people at the market with money waiting to buy the product. So when he gets back to Kawiaken, he can be able to pay his children's school fees. He can be able to buy Christmas presents for them. So it doesn't matter whether you can get somebody from Unity Party or ANC or CDC. What matters is that person going to be committed to the government? Is that person going to be committed to the ideology? Is that person capable of serving to the extent that his service will provide solution? If that is the case, I don't care where the person comes from. I don't care where the person comes from. The person could be sedition or not sedition. And that's why I differ with some of my people who believe that we should just en masse dismiss so-called opposition people from the government and replace them with sedition.
But you are attaching a hook on the so-called opposition. So one who is outside of it is listener. They will say, "Wait a minute, Professor. What is the authenticity in terms of what you are preaching here now?" And you are attaching sort of a rail line on it here.
What I'm saying is simple. We need to find solutions to the Liberian problem. And if the solution is outside the CDC, we need to get the solution from outside the CDC. We have one country, it's a unitary state, just for over 5 million people. We got to hold together. We got to be able to come together to identify some responsibility. Look, I work with a lot of people from ANC. I have a lot of friends in the Unity Party. And we agree on some of the fundamental issues in Liberia that we need to solve. And so what's wrong with me working along with some of those guys inside government to solve those problems? I don't see anything wrong with that. But I just expect the people to be committed. What has transpired right now is that
I did not well the lack of commitment on the part of these.
The president has seen it. He's been deceived. But he's seen it now, and he will take action.
Why is he not acting?
But like I said, it's been building up. So he's seen it. Like, for example, you bring somebody into government to work for you, and next thing the president is doing, every government memo, they take it and send it outside to make mockery of the government. I mean, you look at that. What is that? That's not commitment. You can remain a member of your opposition political party, work in government, and still be responsible enough to protect the integrity of information. And that's what some of the people don't they find it very difficult to do. You know, I'm very, very well known among citizens.
Professor Zawlot, I have had a conversation with you long before even the CDC government came into power. What are you now trying to do? Everything possibly can to make your presence felt right there on ground so that your voice can be heard loud and clear.
But I don't have to be there. You see, and that's the thing about it. I don't have to be in government to contribute. I already contribute. I'm contributing immensely. Like I was just saying to you, I get a lot of information. People pass around, they get information. Some people are not even, look, there was recently I got an intelligence from somebody who was not even part of the, who doesn't even like the CDC. He gave me a very good intelligence. And, you know, and these are the kind of things that, you know, I'm doing all that. So I'm still contributing. When I receive the kind of intelligence, I forward it to the necessary authority. You know, and so I'm working.
Do they act on that?
Well, you see, when you get an intelligence, there are a lot of behind the scenes activities when it comes to actualizing those intelligence that you receive. So there's so many things that have to take place, and I'm very positive that those things take place. Yeah.
Okay. Let me, Papa George, I'm not getting your image. Let me just get you out and see. Maybe you can come back again. Can I serve you a reminder, Professor?
Yeah.
You, as you said, challenges. You outlined numerous challenges, but what I didn't hear, the most recent ones, which was a big political turmoil that hit your party. Is it on purpose? The massive defeat in the primary in the Bay? I didn't hear you mentioning that. Why?
But that encapsulates everything that I talked about. That our government has been focused on development. The people are interested in the bread and butter issue for their families. And so there was a dichotomy when it comes to that. So
it seems to downplay this recent senatorial.
So I'm trying to say to you, the people express their frustration in their votes. The people send a message out that maybe this government needs to take a new direction.
Do you agree with that?
I sort of agree, yeah. I sort of agree. I think, look, if you build the road from Monrovia to Zozo or to Vanyama or to Kulahun, run through Banga everywhere and go there. You build the other road that will pass through and go all the way to Hapa, going to Zwedru, Rivergy, everywhere and go there. You don't create jobs. Those roads would be used as basketball court. There'll be no traffic on it. We got to create jobs. And we got to create jobs outside of Monrovia. We got to take the jobs to Kawiakem, to Butuo, to Dwazon, to Bazon. We got to take the job outside. The people need to work. And if the people look, I'm a proprietor, as Liberian people call it. Basically, I consider myself an owner. I invest in education. And I have 2 schools. And I can tell you that I know what's going on. I had to waive over $3,700 of tuition owed me for last school year. I waived it. Because the parents just couldn't afford it. I've tried every strategy. Oh, you come and pay 50% by this day, I'll cut the price, I'll cut it down for you and do this. It's not working. So I came to the realization on Christmas Day that these people just can't afford it, they don't have it. And so I had to waive it. And then I talked to a couple of other school owners in Monrovia. And Kakata, for example. They said, you are lucky. At my elementary school in Liberia, I have about 75 students who are registered. This week, we expect to have about 50 more to register. In Kakata, I have about 97 students who are registered. We expect about 91 more to register. There are schools in Kakata where the enrollment is about 400, and up to now, they have only 20 students that are registered. There are schools in Monrovia with about 500 student population, and up to this point, they have less than 50 students registered. So those are some of the challenges in the country. We got to address those. We got to address this issue about the people being able to send their kids to school, the people being able to buy food for their families. And look what's happening this year. We got Christmas, we got the end of the school year, we got graduation, and we got a new school year, all aligned between December 1 to January 15. Now think about it. And then the people have to vote on December 8th. What do you expect the people to do?
Professor Otai, so you can admit that your party, perhaps maybe you're waiting for Joyce to to be here to answer. Why can't they make that? Hey, look, my party or my party did not do enough. To get this. Instead, you are pulling strings here.
No, but that's not correct. To say my party did not do enough is wrong. It's just talking about alignment of priorities. So my president comes about. We had a president conversation with President Weah. President Weah always talk about Florida, where he has his properties. And he said, you look at the terrain and plains of Florida, it reminds you of his time in Shasta and how Shasta looks. So he doesn't see why we cannot develop Shasta to become a major tourist attraction, so that people will come from other parts of the world and go there and bring in money to the place. Now he understands that even if there's a goal in the future, he must build the road and people will be able to access to get there. So he has all those ideas. So when he came to power, what he thought he needed to do was to develop the country, bring massive infrastructure development to the country, which is great and brilliant. And I support the idea of massive infrastructure development to the country.
Was it strongly positions on the part of government to have the implementation, not just only able to have it conclusive as well?
It was laid out properly. The problem is they screwed up so bad by the previous government that accomplishing that.
Are we going back to Helen Johnson's salif after 3 years? Is that fair conversation for us to be having?
We cannot lose focus on those things. Look, Mr. So, you know your kid's performance in the 12th grade depends on what he did in the 9th grade, in the middle school, in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot ignore that. The fact of the matter is that the failings of the government, of the Unity Party-led government, created tremendous hurdles for this government. And I will blame the government for not doing a very thorough job to investigate and analyze the extent to which the damage was there when they took over. I think President Weah was so much consumed by a peaceful transition. What is the message of that democracy actually works, that we can transition from one president to another president. So he ignored some of those things. I think that was a mistake.
So, okay. Before I pivot to Emmons George here, let me bring in this. We respect all views of our followers as long as it's done in a civil context here. I want you to respond to this here. This seems to be somebody who is a high court supporter of the government. This is Charles Flomo. Let me see, Josh, a little bit busy here. This is Charles Flomo tweet here. The opposition pay international press to spoil George Weah's government name.
But that's not working for them.
Is that happening, first of all, you think?
Oh, yeah. But it's not working for them. It's happening. That has been their design. The design is not to offer to Liberian people what they would do. The design is to make Liberia look like a doomsday scenario where the devil, George Weah, has come and he's destroying the country. That narrative is not succeeding. The international community is not tuned to those kind of things. Look, just read the latest IMF report on Liberia. I will not be able to quote it verbatim, but let's hear some of the things they say. It says the Liberian government.
Having some interference. Is that from you, Pa George? You having issue with your audio? Are you there?
No, I'm oral.
Okay, go ahead.
The IMF indicated that the Liberian government engaged in one of the most ambitious harmonization programs ever. And the harmonization program saw the improvement of salaries for 15% of the employees. It evened up salaries for some of the people who are earning, the top income earners. And it created the fiscal space
for the government to be able to do other things. Because of that, we are providing this amount of money to them. So the opposition narrative about Minister Twe being a failure of the George Weah government not being able to, gain the respect of the international community, he hasn't succeeded.
So you look. Bringing Emma George here, I think he's well situated. But George,
before you bring him, Mr. George, I just wanted to say to Mark Freeman out there that yes, I will give you my number at the end of this program. You can call me and then we can discuss about the innovative agriculture project you have. And I'm very interested in implementing it.
I see. Is there somebody through there? Let me see it. Who's the person?
I don't know where it came from. Somewhere, some other place I'm looking at yet. So
is that a Facebook user? Mrs. I have an innovation agriculture project plan to uplift up government into youth innovative empowerment career, but it is hard to get those people in charge. Now, with this individual, he or she, whatever the situation here, that's the problem. And it's not only with the George Weah government, that with all of our authorities. And I can say that because I mentioned that before when I went to Liberia, not a good person, any good citizen would not want to see their government to fail. I can have a policy different with my government. I can express that out. And it must be done with tolerance and responsibility. But the idea sometimes of then coming to a conclusion, if you have some sort of strong view against their policy, seems not to be one of them, then they don't want to give you attention. That's kind of a little bit frustrating. And that has to do with my visit. When I went to Liberia, I was privileged to meet. I met most of them, visited City Mayor Jefferson Koji. And my plan was to give him the opportunity to get his version and perhaps connect him with my city. But before I can do that, I wanted to have like a sort of interviews on the tape and let he himself outline some of the challenges facing the city of Monrovia and let it be documented and get over. But unfortunately, I try, and it did not work. So, my dear friend, I wish you luck. I hope they will listen. Pat George.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Happy Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You listen to your friend and brother Tai, Professor Tai Assex Zawlo, and for his extraordinary job that he's doing here. But he did not put the hammer on the nail when it came to the part, the recent 2020 midterm, which is also get the path through of the implementation policies of this government. Instead, he went around the government focus on infrastructure development. They're saying all usual soundbite and political correctness. And I didn't hear him doing that. Is that been done calculatively by him, not to hold somebody responsible?
Let me say that first. Let me say belated Christmas to Professor Zawlo and a prosperous New Year.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have always said it in here that Professor Zawlo, if CDC had power then, they will have a good PRO out there. He's very good at articulating the government views about what's happening in Liberia. But there are reality on the ground that speaks for itself. He mentioned that opposition pay people to promote, to antagonize the government out there. But it's the same government that paying people to go after opposition. So that's again the plan. You have the upper hand. That's up to you. Because yesterday this guy D-Flow displayed a test on Samuel Twe at the time. They were all at that time dropping shoulder. The test indicating allegation that Samuel Twe had written to give him $15,000 to promulgate a message in the state D-Flow. I think you know D-Flow. Because they were all at the time they were good booty. Samuel they were all hanging out. Then later on we saw this lady came out talk about MAGA gay men and they got money from Samuel Twe to come out there to promulgate government messages. So that's the game. You have the upper hand, you will win. But talking about government priorities, let me go to Mr. So you know this guy Oteria Gayman. Because you mentioned Jefferson Kochini. Oteria Gayman said he got some business people And they got in touch with Jefferson Kochi to help the city how they can put some work together. Government said that the first thing Jefferson Kochi heard that the people should give him 2 pickups.
For himself?
Otavia Gaiman. He said when these people contacted Jefferson Kochi said up front he wanted 2 pickups for personal use. So that ran the people that come to Otavia Gaiman out of Morovia. Now, you talk about agriculture. Anston Jabba, I think somewhere in Louisiana somewhere. I talked to Anston Jabba because one time he was on the program talking about this agriculture program. And I said, but you have the brain, why don't you get in touch with the government? He said, someone connected me. I sent documents to the government. He said, I sent a document. They cut off communication with me. So when Professor Zawe come and talking all this that the government is trying to work or they're doing this, no. Because I'm naming people who you can contact to verify what I'm saying. I'm not saying, oh, by so-and-so. No, I'm naming people. So, but the reality on the ground here, the World Bank came out and reported, oh, that's the best thing they have ever seen done in Liberia. But therefore, you have a liquidity problem in the country as we speak now. Simon Trade last time came out to say the government has surplus. But where is the surplus when civil someone cannot take pay for Christmas? When there's no money, people go to the bank, they cannot get money. There's a liquidity problem in the country. The central bank don't know how much money in circulation in Liberia as we speak today. And they are responsible, the central bank, to design program to the monetary aspect of Liberia. The central bank is responsible. But yeah, today nobody can tell you. The bank cannot speak why there is a liquidity problem in the country.
Let me hold you right. Let me hold you right there, Joy. Professor Zaro.
Yeah.
George, Amos George is making a case here. Is that what you're hearing true? Is that true?
Well, the liquidity problem is associated with the inability of the legislature to approve the production or reproduction of new banknotes. That is something that we all know. The government had issued salary to its employees. The problem is that the banks do not have the banknotes to make those payments. So those are some of the issues. So it's an issue that what the legislators have to come in and fix. That's not an executive issue.
Mr. So let me just land.
The executive have already proposed a solution. The legislature has not taken on it.
How many times will we see is that a solution to repeatedly been printing billions?
It's not a printing of no. It's not printing new money. That will cause inflation. That's not what's happening. There have been some mutilated banknotes, as far as I understand.
How much do we really know this amount?
It's a huge quantity that cannot be put into circulation because it's just bad.
Any figure? Do you have any figure? I
can find that out for you the next time I'm here. But there's a huge quantity of mutilated banknotes that have been decommissioned, and they have to be replaced. They have been taken out of circulation, and they have to be replaced. And legislature needs to act. So that
do we patronize? Is that a good? Is it arguable?
No.
Why not?
Look, Mr. So here's the issue here. There is a crisis in the banking system in Liberia. Trust. The people have lost confidence within the banking system, the government inability in the monetary aspect of Liberia. The people have lost confidence. People are not saving money people are not putting money into the bank. That is not an excuse. If Professor Xavier wants to make that argument, then why a person where cannot take this argument to the public? That hey, the legislature are the one that holding you, that staffing you.
He's done
so
that.
The public can do it. But the central bank has not spoken that there is what happened to some. Let me go back. Let me divulge a little bit. When they had the money, they said they were going to, I think 25 times, to map up exercises. What happened to that $25 million? The old money was still on the market.
So, okay.
The old money was still on the market, and they said they confused. They said, yeah.
Hold on one second. Pa George, Professor.
Yeah.
Okay, now Pa George let the cat out of the bag, or almost trying to get out there. This consequential, this 25 million that we've been talking about over and over, which some of the voters, in fact, people who talk to, they acted on because they felt that their government did not do enough. Do you think that 25 million for the map-up exercise that was conducted by the ministry, by the government of Liberia through Ministry of Finance, which of course I learned some of what were coming out of Minister Tue, I think very interesting. Was that done properly?
To the extent and for the information available to me, I would say yes. And the information that I have is buttressed by the fact that both the Crow report and the Pitt report pointed to no major deviation from the original intent of the mop-up exercise. Some of the things that the report released that has been amplified, misinterpreted by the opposition is that there were certain individuals, there were certain people who the economic management team allegedly indicated received part of the money that was intended to provide the US dollars on the market. And those people could either not be traced, or some of them initially indicated that they did not receive it. That's what he said. There were 4 investigations, and those investigations exonerated the economic management team of.
But what's about the okay? Yeah.
So now here's the thing: the effect of that mop-up exercise is what we are experiencing today. There is US dollars on the market.
So how were you coined that, Professor? Also, Professor, how were you coined that? Was it successful or was it?
Successful. That's why you have US dollars on the market now. But the problem you have now is the Liberian dollar. And the reason for we have the problem with Liberian dollars is because the legislature need to approve of the replacement.
Do you think due diligence?
Professor Zawo, you have on the market today, why the US embassy issue or release of citizens going to Liberia that they should carry their own money?
Well, that's the US embassy issues all kinds of release, all kinds of issue all kinds of advisory. One of the advisory the US embassy to be trying to issue right now is that the United States has become very dangerous. With a president that refers to other people as rapists, and he calls Africa a shithole. The US embassy should be issuing that kind of advisory. Unfortunately, they don't do it.
I don't want to. I just asked that question, but yeah, my take it. Let me go back into the Crow report you're talking about.
Yeah.
President, we are instituted another audit.
Yeah.
And that audit was done, and some people would have been accountable. But let me go one step further.
Yeah.
The tip that Samuel Twes himself said, he took money to Waterside, Yonkutan, and Douala.
Yeah.
That then the money continued on Carey Street. The alleged in the Crow report that they gave him, I think, 5,000, but he received it was 100 some thousand. That is in the report.
Yeah.
Now, if you said there are minor problems, any minor problem are not taken care of, why do you think the Liberian people will continue to trust the system?
But here's the thing. You just made an allegation. First of all, Samuel did not explain it that way. That was the interpretation given by overzealous pressmen.
No.
He did not explain it that way. He said, no, that's what he said. Look, here's the thing. We cannot ignore, you see, I'm not an economist, but I've read and studied economics to the extent that I can tell you this. African economists have a very deep root in informal economic structure. In the United States and in the civilized world, you don't see people lying in the street exchanging money. Exchange of currency will be done in banks.
I don't even know why they're paying taxes.
Yeah, it's done in banking institutions.
The Forest Bureau in Liberia The Forest Bureau, Liberia, pay taxes. The Forest Bureau pay taxes.
The Forest Bureau pay taxes, but the ones on the street
folks are in the street.
don't. But how many of the people are going to the Forest Bureau?
But the people are in the street.
Forest Bureau. Yeah.
And go ahead first. Go ahead.
No. So how many people are going to the Forest Bureau? So to have an effect that they wanted to have, you cannot ignore the informal structures you have, like the money changers and all those people. You cannot ignore them. So you got to get them involved in the process so that that money will be immediately available on the market. If you give the money to the Forest Bureau, you put the money in the banks, and the citizens are not going over there, then the money will be remain locked up over there. It will not be serving the purpose, which was to put the money into circulation. And so that's why they went about it that way. It's not uncommon. Now, one of the things I always told people when people were criticizing those things, I said, go and read history of mock-up exercises all over the world and see how they were done. What was done in Liberia is now uncommon. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Now, here's the last thing I'll tell you.
When they receipt, when those money are given to the people,
yeah,
when they receipt,
they were received. That's what I said to you. There was initial allegation. The initial report said that. The initial report indicated that some individuals claimed that they did not receive the money. Others claimed that the money reported to have been received was not the actual money they received. And so there was a phase of investigation.
Professor, how can you also reconcile that? Because we all follow that, and that there was a lot of multiple statements, conflict information that were coming, and it was generated from the government. The very where, you will respond. The very Samuel were also said he could not even establish the identity of those same very people that were giving money. Why were you giving somebody something? But you can't do that. Why were you?
Wasn't the one that was doing it? Senator wasn't the one doing the distribution. So I was.
Senator is the head of the economic management team.
But he was not responsible for the distribution of that.
So that's
he was not responsible for that.
Professor, I will. Joyce, I come in you respond. I want a professor to get his side all year. Who is the head of the economic team?
It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be the one to distribute the money.
Yeah, who sets the agenda of the process?
Well, he sets the agenda. He says he lays the process. And they are down the line who are responsible for it. That's why you saw changes at the central bank. So
he set the process, and the process, part of that is to carry out the implementation. So whatever he puts in play, that's exactly what's implemented, correct?
Should be implemented. Should that was implemented. Should have been implemented. And he's not going to stand over there and tell them to do this. He expected them to have implemented.
You think he actually guided the process, following actual regulations with the government that should be within the handbook of the government of Liberia?
Well, he did extremely well. And that's why the government was able to...
Did extremely well is relative.
So let me explain to you then, Mr. So. That's why the government of Liberia admitted to some of the problems, some of the challenges in that area, and identified that the central bank did not have the capacity to serve the Liberian people in the way the institution was intended to serve. And so because of that, several individuals at the central bank were asked to resign. There was a change in leadership at the central bank. So that's it. Now, when you understand that since that happened, several things have happened.
Okay, people were asked to resign, and there was an individual who is the principal architect or who facilitated this whole thing. He was never penalized. There was no administrative action taken against him. He's still presiding over the financial board.
Who's that person? Who's that person?
Samuel Tue.
Samuel Tue is not responsible for disbursement and distribution, so you get penalized.
Look,
the problems came from the central bank, and the central bank. All the problems came from the central bank.
And so the working relationship with central banks and government, where the central bank takes instruction from.
As a head of the management team, this should work harmoniously. But there's an extent to which he can go into the activity of the central bank. Understand? So he cannot exceed his power, and so he was being confined by law to operate within certain parameters, and he's too.
George Coming, who central bank was taking instruction from? Were they doing it autonomous? They're doing it out of their own without coordinating with the relevant government agency, for example, the Ministry of Finance?
They coordinate, but the central bank is an autonomous agency, and they make their own. They carry on their own. They have their own procedures in place of doing things, and that's why at the end of the day, the president did several things. He restructured the central bank. And he made an obligation that the government of Liberia will no longer be borrowing money from the central bank. And since then, I think we have seen an upsurge when it comes to that kind of situation. The government have been performing better when it comes to that.
Better up today?
Yeah, well, yeah, it started to perform better. Look, when did we start to experience this issue about this no money being no Liberian? The problem with the liquidity issues there. When did it start? Just recently. And it has been because of the reluctance. You see,
out of a blue sky, that's something.
No, it's been building up. So all these mutual data notes,
no actions were taken to avoid that.
Nature has not taken action.
Look, Mr. So,
George, come in.
Yeah. Professor Zawo can put all the spin around this thing here. It's not working. He can put all the spin. And I always say, I like Professor Zawo, but the place he is, I don't know. Because seriously, I like the man, but the place he finds himself, it's just difficult for him. Because when he's speaking, the people are not listening to him. And so he come here and try to do his best in that much to give some assurance to the Liberian people to hold on. But the people who actually doing this work, they're not listening to people like him. This is the issue. Some network. If at all you have a problem with the central bank and you are the Minister of Finance, you are responsible to collect government revenue and you have an issue, you can go to the president or the board to elect them that, look, I see trouble coming. This is what the bank is doing. And if it's not checked, this is a road will go down. He didn't do nothing like that. This guy was up the boasting. Now, Professor Zawo said there was issue at the bank that led to the governor and other people being removed. But what they ought to tell, what was this issue that Professor Zawo cannot tell us?
Okay, good.
Why, if anything? Because I think the court report sometimes said there was some irregularities, some accounting thing. All these things had not been settled today. And these are the issues the voter were raising again about $24 million because they had not been able to articulate what actually happened. For example, we have set a local audit thing. They came up. They named some people. People expected those people to be accountable. But instead of what? Nathaniel Pedro walked away with fabulous retirement pay after all those years. Mm-hmm. These are issues that I don't care what you say. It is now coming to haunt them. And this excuse to put it on a national legislature. No, it's just not there. Because how long this problem has been dragging on? They have been hoping that it will solve it, it will just solve itself by the way. No, and these are economic issues. You cannot solve, when you don't put the right mechanism, it will not work. We are not exporting anything to get some hard currency. Basically, we rely on revenue collection, revenue intake. And with all the crises around the world, revenue are dropping. So for Nigeria not to meet a requirement, there's an issue. So the liquidity problem, it is a serious problem for the government. Money cannot be printed in 3 months' time. So if you say that they saw this thing coming, why they have not put in system so that this problem would not be reached the point to alleviate the suffering of the Liberian people. And secondly, let me tell you, no one knows that the issue of Ellen Johnson, people try to shift blame on Ellen Johnson. So no, it's not Ellen, it's President Weah. Again, the tapes are there. President Weah said he was going to protect Ellen Johnson and her family in Liberia. Mr. So, you know the tape during the campaign. He said he was going to protect this woman and her family in Liberia. The Liberian people expectation at that time with President then Senator Weah was that if he became president, he should go to audit the past government. He did not do anything like that. So
okay,
you know,
in the political mind of the professor. Professor, do you remember President Weah ever saying that? And if he says so, in what context he was saying to protect the president? Are we blowing it out of proportion or what?
Yeah. I don't think I've heard him say.
Oh, I will look for the tape. I can find it on YouTube.
You don't need to look for the tape. I believe that you may have heard that. Like I said, I didn't hear it. But I don't think he was speaking literally. You know, in a continent.
Like in the case of Parkward Des Moines, when he used the AK-47, that was a literate.
No, he was speaking literally because he wanted to act tough. I don't think he knows what an AK-47 is. I don't even fear him because he doesn't know an AK-47. He doesn't know how it looks, and he doesn't even know how to use it. And he will not. It will be a difficult process for him to learn. Let's
I'm trying to fix the tone here because the president said that. Because probably
what I'm trying to say to you, what I'm saying to you is that on a continent wherein there's always a reluctance of leaders to relinquish power, even consistent with constitutional requirements. It was very important for President Weah to send the message that our democracy works, and that a president should be willing to relinquish power consistent with the Constitution without any fear that they will be persecuted unfairly. Look, when it comes to people,
is that what his statement, or are you paraphrasing it?
That's what he was trying to say. She will resign and she'll be protected to the extent that she doesn't violate the law. That's what you're saying, and that's an obligation of government to protect her and her family members from unnecessary or false allegations or mob action. So you can't say that was wrong. There was not anything wrong. It's just trying to give hope. Leave power, and we can still live harmoniously even after you leave power. Now, another thing you make mention of, that you are supposed to audit the government. I know my friend and brother John Molu, the former Auditor General of Liberia, will understand what I'm saying. And many other auditors out there. You go in and you do a transition from one government to another government, and then you review the documentation that's been left there. If the documentation does not point to a need for audit, you don't do an audit. Now, understand this. Having some level of malfeasance and political and economic improprieties in certain areas does not necessarily rise to the level to initiate an all-out audit.
But I don't understand. What is all about to verify if Professor Zavlo, I come in by George. If I'm succeeding Professor Zavlo, and Zavlo is leaving, I say, okay, I want to get an audit. It's just to verify what is on the book or what we have in place, whether the records are up to standard. So I don't understand when the word audit is always being used. The connotation, the bad connotations is more or less perceived. Oh, you want to audit this person. So it's just about checking to check and to verify. So what was the big deal?
But that's the difference. Let's listen to this. What's the purpose of transition? The purpose of transition teams is to review and verify. When you do the review and verify, and you do not see incriminating information.
Wait a minute. You said the purpose of the do you think the transition was extensive to that point?
It should be.
All government. It should be. I want something to take home.
It should be. And I think it was.
Judging on your case, it should be. Was that a case?
Yeah, it was. Look, let me tell you one of the things about our country. Our country is a place where people thrive on allegations without any kind of foundation or substance. So once you work in government, you are corrupt. You know that, right? Once you work in government,
no, Professor, I don't.
That's the mindset of a lot of people. So order the energy on this. Nuka go broke, it means there was a corruption at Nuka. I'm not telling you that.
Hold on now, Professor.
Okay, go ahead.
President, we did not order to audit Nuka, and the report to the city went and had not been published.
I don't think so.
He did order the audit of Nuka, and the report was submitted, and today the Liberian had not seen that report. But let me just go back to what you said.
Maybe the appropriate authorities are acting on the report. You want to take into consideration several things. During the government of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and let me tell you something here. I think she did a wonderful job to the extent to giving the resources she had and giving the situation the country she led the country in. I think she did a fairly good job. Our country remains a challenge, but in fact, I lost my thoughts, so I'll let you go.
Okay. Yeah. What I wanted to say here is that this audit we talk about transition from one government to another. You don't think, if at all, according to you, The president we are, that is the government, didn't look at the 12 years
Mm-hmm.
of Madam Salib
Mm-hmm.
and catalog and say, oh, you know what happened? Up to the 12 years, what we see here,
Mm-hmm.
we don't see any major red flag, anything to raise an alarm here.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think, and with the expectation of the Liberian people that they wanted to see an audit from that government,
Mm-hmm.
and since you are seeing in person where they look at it and say, look, you know what happened? There's nothing major here for us to go to institute any further audit. You don't think the government of President Weah at the time was under obligation to speak to the Liberian people on that issue, because it was one of the things that was driving them to the poll for him. So if at all he look at it and say, look, you know what happened? The team look at all these things. There's nothing here major for us to do so. You don't think it was on the government of President Weah was under obligation to address the Liberian people based on what they have seen? Secondly, the NOCAN report, President Weah, or the NOCAN report, and that report was presented to President Weah. Today, as you see, maybe the relevant agency, they are still looking over it. But you don't think when you are speaking like this, and the ordinary people in Liberia, you don't think they see that the government is not forthcoming to them?
No, I don't think so. I think yes. I don't think so. I think here's the problem. I think the government was very loud in its reticence about the direction when it came to auditing or not auditing the former government. By virtue of the fact that the government took no action and did not make any speech about it, it meant the government was satisfied with the information it received and that it could go ahead to unite the Liberian people and begin to start to work on infrastructure development. It didn't merit any kind of audit. The second thing I was forgetting my train of thought on it was the audit from the locale. Look, and I'm not trying to blame the Salif again, but I'm trying to talk from experience. During the Salif administration, do you know how many cases were brought to court about corruption that the government failed miserably to convict the accused? You know how many times it happened? Proving corruption is not an easy thing. You must make sure you get the data, you have the information, you have everything possible to back it instead of just wasting the people, the taxpayer money. And so I think the government has been very judicious, it's been very careful in moving forward with certain kind of investigation. As soon as the government can reach to the point where it believes that it needs to move forward with those persecutions, they will do so. It's not going to be doing it because somebody in the press wanted it to happen, because when Ellen Johnson said he was president, they asked her for money, she didn't give it to them, and so they want to see the entire family persecuted. That's not how government works. And this government will not work like that.
All right. So tell us, Compa Joyce.
It doesn't work like that. I get that point, because there's something other people think of which one. But Professor Zawa, let me be very candid here. The president, our government has a responsibility, because when he said he made, I think, 40 million now, and he said it was 150. That was another issue again. And he said no. She was clear on that she left 150 million in the coffers of the Liberian President Weah, so he saw 50 billion. These are issues that when past and present leaders are raising in the country, it creates concern. And for someone to say that, oh, yeah, we don't see anything here that will lead us to say we need further audit, the government is on an obligation to speak to the people, because that is the people's money. It's not someone's personal money. The resources, if there's anything, the leader is supposed to acquire that situation, that they come and say, look, you know what happened? We have viewed everything, thus far we don't see anything. But maybe in future, if we look at other records, something there, we will come back, we'll open an investigation. The issue of going to court and not winning, the court system is corrupt. We just saw Wani Sherman, how he been winning cases in Liberia, bribing judges. These are the things they do. And Professor, you know it. You know it, lawyers in Liberia and the court system, the judges are all corrupt. They are corrupt.
So you trust the accounting system, but you don't trust the legal system.
The accounting system, I trust the accounting system. I have seen so many accounting systems working in Liberia. But the thing is, what are those people will be implemented? That's the issue. Why if there's an accountant?
Why is it a controller? Every ministry is almost the richest employee at that ministry.
But you see, here's the thing. No. That's the thing here. The people, those who are audited, and if the minister take that audit, when the audit done, it goes to the minister.
Yeah.
It goes to the minister. And the minister is the one who's supposed to order to say, hey, you know what happened? This went wrong here. I want this person to be investigated. But if the report goes to the minister and the minister say, hey, my man, that you have to bring that report to me. Let me say now, I will get any kind of my office here. What you want the people to do?
So
They have done a bad job.
All right, let's do the in the last few minutes that we have here. What is the way forward? We are professors, and this is coming to you. We are gradually diving into 2021 here.
Yeah.
What should be the message of your government? How can they recalibrate? How can they reposition themselves? Others say it's too late. I see other people frown on white, Darius Dillon and Aaron Snow hanging out together. That I don't buy into it. They don't know how politics works, and if they are to build consensus, these people need to start having a conversation. If they are to hold government accountable, and they are to be held accountable themselves, they need to start having a conversation. Though, okay, we are hearing potentially some hairs will be rolling. What are you hearing from your end?
I'm not hearing about any hair rolling. What I've been hearing is that the government will reconsider some of its priorities and get working on improving the lives of the ordinary Liberian people. I expect to see massive investment in agriculture. I think Mark Freeman talking about putting $25 million in agriculture. I'll be one of those people who will support that idea. And I think the government is thinking about empowering the farmers. And I think there are some efforts, like I said, into the light manufacturing area when it comes to agriculture. So I expect to see more jobs being created. I expect to see that those jobs will not just be created in Monrovia, but will be created all across the country. And the government will work towards create more centers of opportunities across Liberia. And those are the things I expect to see. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The President Weah had his focus on infrastructure. Liberian people say, look, we want to eat fresh, Mr. President. So he has to make that change. And I think that's what he's working on. And that's what the team is working on. Like I indicated today to you, I don't see the mass dismissal of people from government as a solution to this problem. You know, I believe that the solution to this problem is identifying the problem, thinking about the solutions, and then going out and finding the individuals who will help in the resolutions of those problems. It doesn't mean that you should just remove the entire, almost everyone from government to solve the problem. I don't think that's the solution.
Do you see there's a conspiracy being pushed by people out there to kind of muddy out for the president or the
I
administration?
don't think it's a conspiracy being pushed. Look, in time of upheavals, people will always believe that the replacement of individuals in government is the solution to their problem. I had an opportunity to live in a parliamentary democracy, the one that we practice in Great Britain, the one that's practiced in Russia. I happen to live in the former, in the Russian Federation, and also in the Ukraine. And they have a prime minister there. And whenever the government faces a serious obstacle like what is going on in Liberia right now, the prime minister will resign. The president will announce the resignation of the government and he will appoint a new prime minister. The new prime minister will form a new government. And when they come there again, after 4-6 months, they've hit another problem again. And then they might do the same thing. The entire government will resign. Some people will be brought back. It doesn't solve problems. It does not. And so replacing en masse is not a solution. Replacing appropriately, knowing where you want to go.
What could you see appropriate right now for this government, the government that you support?
I would not want to speak. My respect for the president is so strong, and I won't want to tell him what to do or what not to do, but I'm very, very positive. He's a very smart man. Contrary to what a lot of people think about, President Weah is a very deep thinker. He knows when things are going bad, and he will definitely be able to think about who can be strengthened, who can be replaced, and how to go about pursuing the proper agenda, he will be able to make the right decision. I don't want to be the one to, come up here and say, President Weah needs to do this, President Weah needs to do that. I will never get into that business. I won't do so. I won't disrespect him, I won't be a disrespectful to him. I have too much regard for him. I have a very high regard for him.
That's interesting. Josh?
Yeah, look, let me say this for me. I have said this. I'm not the one to tell person we have to dismiss anybody from his government. I will not say that. That's not my reach. The reality on the ground will speak for itself.
What is the reality?
You see, and the election spoke, and the people spoke during the going election, the midterm, we saw what happened.
I think you're doing Professor Zawa a favor. You're trying to provoke Professor Zawa right now.
No, I'm being honest.
Just for yourself, right?
I'm being honest. For me to come and say, person wants to change X, Y, Z, no. Person Weah is a very smart, intelligent, level-headed person. So he knows that his lieutenants are doing marvelous job. So I will not make business to say that. But I want to say something. If I have my personal will, I will be thinking of something like that. President Weah spent too much time not doing the people's job. In less than 4 months, the president has recorded four songs. And Mr. So, you said require work and time. And this president is taking the Liberian precious time to record and not tackling the problem that facing the Liberian people. So if I have my will, I will be seeking the Supreme Court a writ to compare President Weah to put in more time to do the people work. Because if more time was put in, we're not finding ourselves in what our people are going through today. President Weah, they camping for 12 years. And Professor Zawa, maybe he was there. They were prepared. They knew what was coming ahead. They saw that Ecomo oil were reducing and other companies, they didn't know what would have happened. But they saw oil going down. So all these things they should anticipate there will be some economic problem in the country. Because so many people that were there bringing in the high currency, they were leaving. And they were in opposition for 12 years. So what are the plans that they put in place as to say we are waiting, we are the government waiting. So by the time we take what these are things we want to put in place.
Okay, let me go to the line, Professor, then you will respond here. Hello, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Christian Gay and I'm calling you from Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, Mr. Gate, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Great. Okay, so I think something is penning down. Something is not being projected right here, right?
I just want to say thank you for breaking the 2 billion follow their own for them. It's a good debate, and I like how they both putting it. It is how we wanted the argument for the better Liberia, But I would say mostly thank you to President Zawa. This is what we're saying. This government that is in power is actually trying. There are some maybe rhetorics of political anger is still in Liberia. We may not be looking at, but to be very frank, they're trying. Look at where we were talking about. The opposition was saying that it was a 16 billion got missing. They first came out with an allegation of 16 billion. And this government, we as a citizen, some of us stick on this government and say, hey, look into this money issue. How can you just come in to find something got missing? Government wanted to use their own people. They say, oh no, we won't use our own people. They will have problem with it. They're calling international people. Opposition, whoever were in the house when they were doing the investigation, everybody was there. They know other than they all signed the paper, agreed to the investigation that it was right. So there are some kind of political rhetoric, some of the opposition carrying on, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like we hit the Liberian opposition, but we actually telling them that the government is doing right. You can also be with them. You get on some good idea. You do on some good thing. If it's negative fact, you can reject it. It's your choice to reject it. I mean, it's not good for the country. You can reject it. But if the government is carrying on like infrastructure development that you wanted it to be, I mean, nothing wrong with it. Supporting even joint judge, we are doing rule ceremonies and stuff and things. But then you say you're opposition. But there's nothing actually I see they really bring to the table. Apart from violence, couple of disturbances in the house, it's nothing really I see they bring to the table into development that will support. Even we are not fighting war anymore. So if your opposition does not mean that it's you hear the name George Weah, that means it's not a presidential war fighting already. That has some of them things, and some of them things. George Weah is not a type of person that can run the country for them. And
okay, so quickly before I go, I'm out of time here. And we are gradually getting to 2021. You as a supporter of this government, what do you think the president needs to do?
Well, I think you need to reach out to some of these people that still have a doubt.
Who are some of them? When you say some of these people, who specifically are you referring to?
Well, I would say the oppositions. I mean, like they say, our brothers. We all, you need to. First of all, I think what you need to do mostly is to explain itself, because there are many things they are accusing us too. That when you look on the left hand side, the people might be right because he's not coming out to say anything. It will not be he. At the end of the day, he will make a music, Mr. Liar Man. Man, if you are going to come on and say something, then maybe they're not going to be saying that.
Are you
frustration?
So, do you? Well, it seems so. I don't think it meets your desire. That music, making of that music, is that what you're frowning on?
I mean, he was actually in that music. I feel like he was expressing himself, like, hey, I don't do what the supposed I do, but at the end of the day, like when people look at things funny. The other people making music, so they're not really thinking about the music part of it, but that's what you are trying to say. But if you are going to come out to say something about it, if you are going to pull up and arrest, if you are going to take an action, I don't really be afraid that if I arrest these people, the country will go back to war or something will happen. If you have to arrest, you have to arrest. You have to take an action, you have to take an action. If it has to happen, it has to happen. Because the people know that you can't execute corruption. So they're not going to wait for you to say, oh, you pressing another person for 3 months, carry them to court. If the person found guilty, go to jail, go to jail. That's how it works. But at the end of the day, maybe like the other people will say, it's wish your own thing and whatever it is. But we still need to, he needs to get, you need to make people understand how he's actually running the country. And why some people is frustrated for, nobody knows. But at the end of the day, you still need to get to these people that are frustrated, so that we can move forward for 2020, 2021 and 2023. That's what I need to say. Thank you.
Okay, let me see this number here. 503, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
Okay, this is Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
I just want to I want to say a little thing. So, the government has a serious problem that we don't really know how we can get out of it.
Who is that?
Because the most educated people are supposed to support this government to do the right thing. There are many people that keep distracting the government. So it's just kind of very hard. The president can now, what I just want to suggest to him, you shouldn't look at the interior or the people, the Liberian people view. Let me look at those people outside who got nothing to do with Liberia, their view on everything that is going on in Liberia. Let me try to look at it. Just for example, when he used to do sports, every time they have a game, you got to go back to the video and watch the game and see that mistake. That way, the next time they go play, they're going to have those problems under control. This is what they used to do. People that play better international football, that's what they do, and the president should know about it. The president started this government very nice. Can you imagine when the people say the first protest, where the government are reaching out to people that are protecting them, giving them water to drink, all these things? It boosts the president morale, it boosts the government morale on the other side. People are very happy to see that kind of thing happening. But the government starts sliding out of the track, and they keep growing. And those people that should be leading the government, they don't want to do it. Can you imagine France 24 English addressing the whole president of the country as a football star to political disappointment? Can you believe that? Whole president. And we just in Liberia making noise. Our educated people, they are not seeing a clear light that people are arguing about. They keep misleading this guy. So it's just hard. The man just have to do their own thing now because the people around him can't give him the right idea. That's one of the points I want to stress out. And then the second thing is, they always say he's connected to the grassroots. Who are those grassroots of the country he's connected to? Those people that can be making noise in the street, sour, is that the grassroots they're talking about? Why you can't get the traditional people the right, the connection, to be connected to those people? Somehow we know those people, they are not educated, but they were still able to govern their own, their clan, their city, their town. They lead the town and everything goes correct. And not so much about education, but the common sense. Those people got it too. So let him put those traditional people close to him. Let me give them a role to play in his government. They let him consult them in taking decisions sometimes. Not everything they say he will take, but he will get one or two ideas from those people. Because the people are part of Liberia, and they should be respected too.
All righty.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Liberia has a problem, but I don't know how we're going to get out.
Okay. All right.
They're trying to track me down. For what? I don't know. Oh, Mr. Liar, man. You know I didn't do the thing you say I do. Oh, Mr. Liar, man. Joe Rastafari.
Rastafari Joe. That's the voice there of President Dr. George Manant Weah, the President of the Republic of Liberia. We will be wrapping all here, but this is what Pat George tries to do to here, Professor Zalo. But let me just let the cat out of the bag. This guy and the liberal, they always like to stir out little trouble here and leave it hanging for them to go. But I know this is what Pat George meant to say, that the president is not doing his job. He's taking the playbook now of Councillor Johnson recently point against the president. Let's listen to this and see whether this is just a cartoon or is another sort of a catching the eyes of the media industry in and outside of Liberia. Let's listen to this, and I want to get you guys a quick reaction before we wrap up for the rest of the day.
This is True FM. I'm in the presence of criminal lawyer, Councillor Arthur Johnson. Councillor Johnson, want to say welcome to this special interview.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. The president has come up with another new message, and you, as a criminal lawyers and as a citizen of the country, you are seems to be embarrassed by his new music. What do you make of it?
Yes, Tobe. My concern is this. This is the fourth song that our president is making. It is not about questioning his talent to sing. It is about the situation and the timing. It is just like this, Toby. You leave home, you go back home, you left your home hungry, the children are hungry, and I go back as a father, I beat the children all lying hungry, and I start to sing and dance and celebrate without carrying food. They feel disappointed about me as a father in the land. So is the situation now. We can have people are suffering. People are actually suffering in this country. Nothing is happening. You have serious social problems affecting the country. Problems or conditions that affect a significant number of our people by interfering with their individual and collective goals. And so it requires a collective action. But when we have our president in the presidency sinking again, as if there is nothing, it's like he's ignoring the situation is what is obtaining in the country. It's a provocation. It sounds as a sign of provocation to the Liberian people. The president needs to understand and focus on dealing with the mounting social conditions and problems that are affecting the life and the generation of our children to come in this country.
But Councillor Johnson, are we not aware that this president is a star before becoming president?
He was a football star. He's now the president. He's the president. He's not a singer. He's not a footballer again. He's the president. He's the father of the nation. He's the philosopher king. He should be the philosopher king. He should be the president to lead the country.
For your statement, it appears that you are embarrassed.
Obviously, I am. It's not only being embarrassed, but frustrated and worried about the future and the destiny of the country.
So, as a lawyer,
president doesn't stop what he's doing. It's like we feel that everything is all right, and there is nothing all right. He saw that from the results of the election. So, if the president doesn't think about stopping this thing, to sing again another song, which may be the fifth song, I think we will have to file a petition for the issuance of the right of mandamus against the president for him to do the Liberian people's job as president of the country.
Do you think your action will be legal?
It will be legal. A petition for the issuance of the writ of mandamus is a writ asking the court to compel an official of government, ordering him to do what is legally officially bound that they should do. Based on the official capacity of the office that they represent. So this would be the one. This would be for history to record these things. But the president has to be aware. People around the president need to tell the president that things are not well. The country is degenerating. There are serious fundamental problems. Real political science will take and understand from the elections or the recent elections to know that the people have problems with the government and that there is a need for reinventing the wheels and the machinery of political government.
So you want for him to focus on the economy and stop sinking.
Those conditions that will be people to achieve as opportunity. Because when social are lacking, when the conventional means of acquiring social are lacking, individual may use opportunities and engage in anti-social.
So how soon would you petition for a writ of mandamus?
I am president and to focus, to take some tangible steps, calling for reconciliation, calling for excellence and make us to all and consultation to discuss and identify the problems of the in approaching these dynamic and problems. Obviously, some of us will have to use the legal means to find ask the Supreme Court to determine as to whether or not the president issuance of the writ of mandamus against the president who is indeed close with the authority as a principal action unit, but at the same time is singing songs because look, singing songs is something that you put in more resources in time. You got to study, you got to read, you got to concentrate. Can you imagine the lesson that the president of the country in the midst of emergency and social conditions affecting our lives had made it full song.
So in short,
it means nothing in this country.
If you go ahead to make another music again, definitely going to run to the Supreme Court.
For the issuance of the writ of mandamus to compel the president to do the job of the president.
When that's talking to you, Councillor Johnson.
Welcome.
Okay, Professor, that is quite interesting. That's also Councillor Johnson. I'm hoping to have in here. I took a little bit deep out of his argument. Rate of mandamus. That's a rate in the legal term calling on somebody to do or perform his or her constitutional responsibilities. In this context, now Councillor Johnson is addressing the president with a song, and he talks about situations and timing. Is it wrong, or is just throwing tantrum out there for us to get his attention?
Tantrum, and braggadocio, empty words, making these are fair understanding that you think the Liberian people are stupid. The writ of mandamus is talking about you cannot even achieve it ever. He has no standing. The standards for such a thing that he's asking for is impossible for him to be able to prove. So he's just a mob star. There's an individual, that guy, Mr. Arthur Johnson, he's like a scorn lover. There's a man who was charged with the responsibility to persecute people who embezzle the resources of the country. And he failed miserably in the discharge of his responsibility. And so he walks away and now wants to gain fame. These kind of allegations that nobody's listening to. He's a non-entity. He's inconsequential and irrelevant that nobody's paying attention. Nobody's paying attention to him. He doesn't even understand what governance is. I mean, look what he's talking about. He says social problem. And he deviates to other things that is that a social issue? Is that a main problem we got in Liberia right now, Mr. George? Social problem?
Go ahead. No, I will come in.
These are the people that confuse it. These are the people that they are lawyers, so people get, smart guy.
Does he have a point?
No.
Does he have a point that making songs?
No.
Takes time and all of that.
No,
the question here now is it interfering with his official?
No, it does not. Let me explain this to you. Everyone has their own talent. Yes, it might require a lot of studying and all kinds of things for one individual. Another individual may not require the same thing. And when you make music at the same time and carry on people's things, yes, the president has time to be at work. He also has a leisure time. How you spend your leisure time and how I spend my leisure time can be different. If the president is spending his leisure time to make his music, if his argument was that the president is spending time and you're supposed to be at work, when he's at work, that's a different thing. Having said that,
background noise. I don't know whether they're on a birthday train there or what.
I don't know. Yeah. The case will be case. Yeah. Having said that, I also want to say to you, look, I think the president needs to consider the timing of his production. Right? I want to say that the president needs to consider the timing of his musical production. I do not agree with the fact that it shows that he doesn't care. It could be construed that he doesn't care. And so I will encourage him to consider a new direction, a new.
What happens 2021 when the president releases come up with a new song again? How will you consider that?
What's happening in the country in 2021?
It
depends what's going on in the country in 2021. If the country is booming and things are happening, the president decides to issue a release that will celebrate and bring the people back together, they're wonderful. Look, music has power. It can bring people together. I love that song. It's a Lion Man.
Mr. Lion Man. Who is he actually referring to? Do you know?
We're lying on him. Speaking of things that he has not done. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of message in that music. I love that music. I really like it. And music has power.
Okay, so let me give you a little taste of it again.
Selassie, oh Mr. Lion Man, oh Mr. Lion Man, oh Mr. Lion Man, oh Mr. Lion Man. You know I didn't do the thing you say I do. Oh Mr. Lion Man. Liar man, you know, liar man, you know,
liar man, you know, liar man, you know. Man, this guy is gifted. What's that happiness coming from?
The country is all right.
No.
The country is all right.
What makes you feel that he's happy?
No, I'm not saying. I said the country is all right. He said.
I asked that question. I'm making an educated guess.
Yeah. Doesn't mean he's happy. It could be a way of expressing his frustration with the people who are lying on him. It doesn't mean that he's happy. He's saying that why are you accusing me of things that I did not do? So it doesn't mean he's happy. I don't think he shows any happiness. Other presidents will go on the radio and talk, like Fidel Castro will come on the radio in those kind of instances and talk for like 2 hours. President will say, you know what, I got a talent. My talent is in songs and music. I will make a music to communicate how I feel. What's wrong with that?
The only thing that's wrong with it, timing.
Okay.
When your people are in economic hardship,
so
the president continue to go and sing these kind of songs, like you throwing jazz at a certain group of people in the country.
Not necessarily so, Mr. George. Do you follow this?
The order of the song, Professor, can tell you. They accuse me. They try to chase me out of my own country.
Yes.
So it means that jazz is drawing other segment of the country that they want to get you out. What they are saying is not true.
And what's wrong with
that's the indication right there.
What's wrong with him going after his accuser in that way? So
well, that's what I'm saying. If he goes out, then the idea he trying to go after certain people, he feel that. That's his feeling.
Yeah,
Okay.
What's
But
up?
the country, I'm saying the country itself.
Trouble is
Let,
brown
let's
skin Queen
let's
Delisha.
let's see this
So
one
as
again.
if Santa heard my prayers, because I have been praying that the president should drop a Christmas carol. And guess what? He just dropped a song called Happy Birthday. Is it Jesus that he's wishing happy birthday to? I don't know. But yes, the song, have a listen. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I love you. Bye-bye.
It's a birthday. It's a birthday. Jump around and have a good time. Chop. Rastafari. Yeah, me know. Yeah, just say me a celebrate now. They call it back. Go to round pam pam. It's a birthday time. Fever. Chop. Rastafari. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Happy birthday to you. We gonna celebrate. Happy birthday to you. We gonna have a good time. Happy birthday to you, dear.
Okay. This guy was flogged miserably after the midterm. I thought, I'm wondering, Professor, whereas it was a Christmas carol or something like that, where does birthday's business coming from?
Maybe it's Jesus' birthday. Yes, what I was saying. But here's the thing. You see, we are looking at this. Some people are looking at it from one perspective, but I want to take another perspective to it.
A holistic approach.
Yeah. The president is trying to just calm the storm in the country. So we had an election. It was a contentious election. People are all on different sides. So let's bring music. So let's take the focus from politics to music. So people start to have some different kind of discussion. I think these kind of discussions are very important. So when you talk about the timing,
was that another way of keeping the narrative from this? Do something. If people keep talking, they say, "Let me just bring something new into this."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about the timing, I think the timing is appropriate. You bring in this new thing. So look, go to Morovia. Sit in your car and put the radio on. You can go from one station to another station. What do you hear in the morning? All political talk show. And when the talk show host say, for example, today let's discuss health. Nobody will call on the show. When you say let's discuss education, nobody's going to call on the show. Let's discuss about technology. Nobody's going to call. But if he sticks to politics, everybody get involved. So this president might be saying, listen, this is Christmas time. That's the reason, that's the season and the reason to be happy. Let's get some music in. Let's get our people talking about something different. Let's get them talking about music. Let's get them talking. I don't think it's a bad thing. Mr. George, you don't think so?
Oh, Professor, let me tell you. I love music. I love music.
Why you don't like this one? If you love music, why you don't like this?
Listen, Mr. So, I didn't say I didn't like the music.
Okay.
I didn't say I didn't like the music. But I say
the timing.
Look at the country today.
Yeah.
When you say he mentioned about after election. Yeah. Look at the two songs that released right after the elections. How can you say you want to reconcile? Then you're telling other people they want to chase you out. They lie on you. Then the other one you say, "Oh, happy birthday." How can you reconcile those two songs that you say that someone wants to bring people together? There's no way. But let me say something here, Mr. Sue. The economic management thing, you know that this year they had a conference at the new ministerial complex.
Yeah.
These people, they came down with proposal, opposition sent proposal, everything. I think was 15 point or 25 point they came down with. Today, the government or person where I have never heard them say, hey, what that conference we had, because it was sponsored by international organization. What came out of that conference? I have never heard any member, let's say the president or any member of the team to say, these are the things that came out of the conference and these are the proposals that we're trying to put in place. So this idea that people don't want to work with the government, I think it's the government. Because every recommendation or proposal they gave, we have not seen the government say, oh, we never grew, this is a proposal they made, so these I think we are trying to put in place. It had not been done so. But yet, people come to say, oh, political angle. oh, the opposition is not doing well. The opposition is creating violence. How many, all the violence that had taken place in Monrovia, how many of them that the government had ever come to prove that the opposition was the one that instigated this thing and led to so?
Oh, man.
Everything has always come from the government and they have failed to prove to anybody to vote.
Before we wrap up, Professor?
No. Mr. George, I have a respect for you. I think that's unfair. First of all, the conference you're talking about wasn't necessarily it wasn't necessarily attended by opposition. It wasn't opposition necessarily bringing in.
I saw Mr. Combs presented a paper. He was not in person, but he presented a paper.
Broad spectrums of Liberians.
So why he didn't go there?
He was traveling. I think he was traveling. But Samuel Jackson was part of that conference.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson, they haven't given proposal to government after government. The Liberian people's situation is still the same. But let's forget about that. Look, and you cannot say because you haven't heard the government explicitly mention those proposals that nothing has been done relative to those proposals. You just can't say.
No,
that.
I said I have not heard and seen them. Maybe if it is done, but I have not heard them.
Right, so I will tell you something. The good aspects of those proposals are being implemented. I can guarantee you that. And so you do a little research, and I will come back next time or sometime later on and give you clear, concrete evidence of those aspects that are being implemented. But the other thing you talk about the violence that have been associated, the violence that have sprouted out, have always been has always sprouted out, has been always from the government end. I don't think that's true. Even the opposition will find your allegations here to be misleading. The opposition had openly challenged government because they believe that, according to them, they believe that that's how they're going to get the message through. And when you challenge government openly like that,
can you give me one or two instances?
All the demonstrations are happening in Liberia. Who organized this demonstration?
It was not a challenge. It is the people right. It was done legally.
The people right was expressed.
It was done legally. It was done legally.
Gentlemen, let the professor make his point, then we're going to wrap it up for the day.
I didn't say it was not their rights. I said they challenged government. They have the right to go and petition the government, which they did. When you petition, you can challenge in a petition. And the problem with those things is that you know it and I know it. Coming back from 1979 to 1980 and moving on, even the August 22nd riot on the university campus, there's one thing you can do. You can start those things. You cannot control what happened, how it manifests. And so those have been reasons why you have seen some tension. It's not a government going around trying to create tension. The government has the responsibility to protect the life and safety of the Liberian people. Why would you want to go on intentionally create a situation that will embarrass them? So no.
Okay.
I'll conclude by saying this. Did the government handle all of those situations very well? No. They did not handle them very well. I agree with you. They did not handle some of those situations very well. If I was in the position, I would have handled it differently. But the government did not initiate the violence.
Okay, respond to it in a minute, and then both of you are going to have a 1 minute closing argument before we wrap up for the rest of the day.
Well, this is all where I come back again. I said I love Professor Zawole, when he come and defend it, and he said, "Oh, had they done it differently?" Yes, but I love Professor Zawole. He articulated the views of the government, but the reality here is that there are many instances I could go on to name that government instigated those things. But if at all, to prove to the people that, hey, look, we will hold everybody accountable, then of course, you should start from within yourself. When element of the government does something, they should be brought to book. But nobody, all these things, the government will say they will investigate incident on the Oro, Bonneville, Grand Gideon. We are still waiting for the report to come out. It goes to a year plus. We're still waiting for some of the report to come out from the government. They had never been.
Okay.
So these are instances some are gave. It's not that the government, we hate the government, but these are facts. If you do it, I will give you the credit. But if it is not happening, and you just can say, oh yes, I know that they are not our fault, but they should have done it differently, but they are not doing it differently. So then what do you expect me to say?
So Yeah, you pointed out here recently that you are considering calling for the conference of the ruling CDC party at convention, something like that.
Yeah. I still believe. Yeah.
You're still thinking in that direction?
Yeah, I still believe, and I think it will happen. I think there will be a convention shortly where we will gather and discuss where we went wrong and how we can fix it. And I'll be a participant in that convention. That's why I'm trying to do all I can do to get my coronavirus vaccination in, so that when the time comes, I can be ready to fly to Liberia and go and participate in that discussion. Look,
there seems to be going to be happening in a very short period of time. I mean,
yeah. So I think
I'll get 72 hours to go. If I'm hearing that you are making plans for that,
no.
Is most likely to happen soon.
No, I don't know how soon it's going to happen. I'm just going to be prepared so that whenever it happens, I can get as possible to go to Liberia and participate in the discussion. I feel it's an obligation on me to make sure that this government does it right by Liberian people. And even if President Weah is not re-elected, that we'll leave Liberia better than how we met it. And that's an obligation. That's a commitment I have. And I will continue to have that commitment until we can deliver. So, yeah, I'm preparing to go.
Do you think that, I don't want to start an interview all over here, the convention, will it consider the continuing inclusions of Vice President Joy Howard Taylor being on that ticket? There being some sort of divided role. Do you think she still want to be part of that coalition?
Who cares?
Who cares? You're speaking the tone of the president in Bond County.
Look, we respect every collaboration, every coalition agreement we sign. Equally so, we expect people to respect the contract.
Is she needed on that ticket for a second wing or not? All right, I think his line is frozen from his end. Let me see. Let me see. The line is frozen from that end. Okay. That's quite interesting. Joy, you say, who cares?
But because look, I don't see this thing coming.
Okay. Let me see. Let me have. Professor is back. Professor, is she needed on that ticket for a second wing of the CDC government 2023?
No, he said he can't hear you. The audio.
Check your side. I think he loses. Are you hearing me now?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, let me see here and see. Let me bring him back. Are you hearing us now?
No.
I think the audio is corrupted.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. Let me just get. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Let me see here. Are you hearing us now?
No, yeah, he can't hear. He can't. I think he can't hear.
The audio is corrupted. Maybe let me just get him out and maybe he can come back. Quickly here. Is Joy Howard Taylor needed on this ticket for CDC to win?
Politically, she needed on that ticket, but from what I'm seeing, I have said it that they don't need her again. And I would see if they don't need her, I would say how they will win. Bomb might give you a low-fat county. Very daunting type for them. And even if they keep her there, they will not keep her there. Even if they keep her there, I have said the trust is no more there. And the people are saying how she's being treated. They're not saying because CDC is not saying anything.
Asatu, no, we do not want her in 20.
I know that girl. I saw her before. Man, come on. These are people. And I wanted that the one war and war on the other day. I know she didn't win. They will name some animal after her. Something that's her there.
So, all right. I was trying to see whether the professor can come back here.
People don't know the political ramification when they're doing these things. CDC CDC ran 2 times. They never won Bond County twice. They did not win Bond County. They never won Bond County. They never won no senatorial seat there. When the poor Joy have on the ticket, they won Bond County. And this is the payback to the people of Bond County. You think these people are going to look back again to say they're going to support George Weah? the senator that he went and hold the senator hand up there, he was massively defeated. So let me see the game they plan. The end, we'll see the end of this game here.
Okay, let me see if Professor is back here. Let's get his final word here. Professor, are you there now?
Can you hear me?
Much better. Okay, I couldn't wait to just go off without me hearing a definitive answer. Do you think Dr. Joel Howard Taylor is needed on that ticket for CDC?
Everyone is needed. Every member of the coalition is needed. But
Professor, I'm asking a specific question. Do you think Joel Howard Taylor, VP Joel?
That's a specific question for you. Everyone is needed as a part of the coalition. We remain committed to the coalition. But we encourage those who want to remain, and those who prefer to not remain to also take the exit.
You are speaking in a very executorial tone here, very specific, under someone who can put the thinking cap on. That's the tone you are speaking in. Who wants to leave can leave. Who want to take the? It's like that was almost like the president's speech, or tone in bombing county, either with us. All of that. Who are you referring to?
I'm saying anyone. We got a lot of people. We got about 3.
But he told you that they don't care about Joel Howard. That was the first question he posed. He told you, he gave you all the answer. You are definitive. He said they don't care. He said, who cares?
No, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you we didn't care. I said, who cares?
Yeah, you say who cares?
You care, right? Mr. George, you care?
He said, who cares?
I wanted to find the people who care about that. I said, who cares? So I wanted to find who cares about that, so maybe I can respond to them. I didn't say we don't care.
There you go, Professor.
Yeah.
I said, who cares? Actually, when you get on that ground there, we will keep track. We want to just let us know so that our team would follow up what are the happenings, whatever it is. Folks, again, I want to thank both of you so much for your expertise and the sort of conversation, the civility that you guys bring to this network here. And we are looking forward. I really want to have Pat George. I don't know which parties do you support?
Right now, I don't support any party.
Come on, you don't support any party.
You didn't see me the other day when I went after Joseph Boakai?
Look,
Professor.
Yeah.
We're thinking of a word he doesn't support any party.
Right now,
I trust his words. I think.
No, I don't support any party.
Yeah, there are a lot of Liberians here who just want to see Liberia better, do the right thing. And so they don't necessarily support any party. I think Mr. George is one of those people. So I think he's right, yeah. I know he's unfair to the CDC. I don't know for whatever reason.
I don't know about Professor Sabo.
On the road, he's unfair to CDC.
Oh, Professor Sabo, I'm not biased. I'm not unfair to the CDC.
Yeah.
But what I speak of is what I think people need to do. People must take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are not doing it, the Liberian people are hurting.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I speak with passion because of the Liberian people. I can afford a couple of rest to eat. My daughter is going to school.
Yeah.
And when people give people power, we understand sometimes there are problems. But people should take responsibility of the power and tell the people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you acquire, it's like everything is okay.
Can you, Professor, I hate to do that. Can you use your influence within the inner cycle to have us talk to some of those folks? And maybe I can talk to you on that behind.
Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to talk? I mean, we can try. I know. We can try. We can get some people come here. That's fine.
I mean, this will be open up. I have extended invitation to Elizana Benedict, whatever Cummings, Joseph Boyka. Benana, you read it last time I interviewed Benana, you read our 20th during the 2017, and some of even the Nyombi Kagan Lawrence, the Darius Dillon that I interviewed two years ago when I went to Liberia, when he was getting into it, I drove to his house. But now everybody there the same, so because probably the one questions of their choices for us to ask, and unfortunately that's not what we do here. They also need to be asked, and these people, they have their own selective platform to articulate a message, which is okay, but I think everybody should be able to, we need to hear from them, it's important. So the invitation is still out there. It doesn't matter whether they are being elected, but I think we need to talk to them. If you're an ANC supporter, United Party supporter, you want to be a contributor here, we are open. LPR, that's the beauty of this network. And so I was
I think I can explore, one of the things I always say, I have a very good relationship with people in the opposition. A good number of my friends are in the ANC. I got tons of friends and brothers and who are in the Unity Party also. So I can explore some of those things. I met team a very excellent relationship.
So I don't know how many times when you call them to get a business schedule, I said, hey, you even president, you start having business schedule over and over, but do you prefer that? But you know what? It is what it is. Those who want to talk, we want to give everybody the fair share. And that's what we like to do here for us here at LPR, so that people will also be able to defend, or we will ask them tough questions too. We have to know their positions. Yeah, one of the question position here now is this: people are calling for war crime code, economic crime code, Cummings, and all of the people. Everybody's still giving us sort of statements of political correctness. Nobody is defending it yet. So we need to put people on record for that. So
yeah, you need to ask Cummings about his citizenship. What he's actually Liberian.
But what about person where is the person where and they say he got some double citizenship?
The same thing, Professor, are talking about you now. The man just
I know.
Yeah, went on your screen taking so.
But look, okay, let me say this. Professor, yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am.
What makes you a Liberian? What makes you a Liberian citizen?
The Constitution given now say if you are born Liberian, you always a Liberian.
Okay, so George Weah is a born Liberian, law Liberian, but that you cannot say.
You see that? You see that now? So you see that? So then why you have to comment now?
But you may not really say that about Cummings. Do you know where he was born?
Let's go home with this song.
He was born Liberian.
Yes, I talked to him before. Yeah, man, God.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being part of today's program. I'm looking forward to having you guys here again for another editions of our regular broadcasting. Professor Otai and Pajoy, thank you so much for your time. Have a pleasant day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, well, folks, that does say here, I'm Afonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Always here to bring you news, information, and entertainment. We want to thank you so much. Our invitation is still out there to all of the political actors to have them here. Until then, that's how we're going to do it. Thank you, folks, for those of you joining us, wherever you are at, for tuning in here. This is what we do. More or less, we represent the broader aspect of the interests of Liberia, holding politicians, state actors, political actors, advocates, including myself, responsible. Things that we say, we must be held accountable, we must be held responsible for it. Making you a citizen, if you make a careless statements, comments, we must hold you responsible because it does have a propensity to degenerate our country into chaos. So we need to hold each and everyone responsible. As we gradually triumph into 2021, may we renew our minds, our thinkings, the visions of our country. We must be able to sit around the table to set up our political discourse and have a civil conversation. And that's one of the main things we maintain on this network. Civility is key to us because that's how we strongly feel we can arrive at a common ground. And we want to give all of you, our listeners and viewers, a kudos for that, for the high level of responsibility and political tolerance, despite of our differences or our guest view. We accept that. We might accept and analyze and be willing to listen to our friends and our opposing views or analysis as to how they see it. We are not talking about individual home. We are talking about a country. We are talking about a land, one of the oldest African republic, 173 years old with 15 political subdivisions, ethnic groups, and others. So it is obvious that we cannot come to a full conclusions on these critical issues we want to discuss. Until then, folks, I'm Afonso Zienso from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. This is our take-home song, The Lord Will Fight Our Battle.
These people are way yelling at me today. I think I'm back up to them. Fight those who fighting against me. Those who fight in my future, those are taking money from Merasime to Merasime. Jehovah fight them for me. Fight those who fight in my career, those who fight in my marriage, fight those who fight in my destiny. Jehovah fight them for me. Oh, slap in the ears, break them to pieces, burn them down to ashes. I know what you can do. You never go for war and lose, so you are always a winner. That's why I brought my case to you. Some people use their power. They go to juju man.